መንፈስ ቅዱስ አሐዱ አምላክ in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit. አቤት ፈጣሪና አምላክና በዛ ሰዓት ያለጥካና ምስጋናና አፋይም ፈጣሪና አምላክና ኮሚኒቲ ዚ በሐደ ስለዛ አከብከና እግዚአብሔር አምላክ ሆይ ወነ በፍቅሪ በሐድነት በህብረት አከበና እግዚአብሔር አምላክ ሆይ ብሩክ ይኻሞ ባረከና ማይዳ አብርሃም ከም ተባረከ ማዕድ ዚ ባረክ ንህዝብኻ ከም ተባረከ ዝህዝብ ዚ ባረክ ፈጣሪና አምላክና ዓድና ህዝብና ሰላም ሃበና እግዚአብሔር ብሩክ ይኻሞ ባረከና በሰላም ከም ዘውዕልከና በሰላም እንሽየና In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Auna the Samayat. Let's say our Father. Auna the Samayat. Kadasam Katumta Mangusteka. We could look at the Kabakama Samayaka Mohammed, Sishain, and the Renatan Avenue, and the Rana Gain. Come on in example, suddenly Tawan, the Ghost of Allah, and all Hanu. Smiley Asa, Iki Mangus, High, Oswald, Adam, Olamal, Sam, Muskoria, Mala, all the Tiamaran, Salam, King, your first get to put the other, Salam, put the other one to the city. فبسيفتك أول تجاهل لك تعالي وتنين لنا مرات عطول تيجي صوت كمان سنة ولا ما يتناولش بروح الجاهرة هذا كله على مملكتنا وروح أول دوار الجينا يسقط مدارينا وروح من بس كدوس راعي تسمسمي ونسيا كلنا سواء وكم رسولوس كدوس يلون وورد ومن بس كدوس يزيد كذا فريق ولا على معلم آمين بسم الله فارق بروح يقول blessed be in the name of God Amen. Thank you.
It has been founded and led by the one and only Dr. Hailu Hagos. The objective of this event is to introduce you to the mentorship program, its members, mentors, mentees, along with the other active members of the Tigrayan community, such as the Tigray Advocacy and Development Association, and members from the Tigrayan Refugees Integration Project. I'm just going to quickly give you a summary of those programs, just so you're aware of them, but colleagues will go into detail during this event. So WHEAT aims to provide one-on-one mentoring support to refugees, asylum seekers, migrants and vulnerable adults. The idea is that mentoring can support individuals in addressing important issues such as skill development, employment opportunities, among others, and can help them achieve their goals and aspirations as they integrate and adjust to life in the UK. Hopefully such efforts will contribute to improving community cohesion. TRIP is the Tigrayan Refugees Integration Project and aims to support newcomers that are suffering from the impact of war, as you're all aware, and giving them a sense of hope and practical support as they seek asylum. And TADA, which I'm also a member of, is actively involved in advocating for our community back home, but also here, in light of the atrocities that have taken place. So we have a number of individuals that have generously given their time today to explain some of the initiatives they are involved in and that can benefit many of you who are recent newcomers to the UK. So we hope this information is useful. Please take note, have time to discuss and talk with each other, exchange numbers and emails, and I won't delay it any further. So let's start with Dr. Hailu Hagos, who I've already said is founder and executive director of WHEAT, and he will discuss brain drain to brain circulation mentoring as a tool.
At priest of St. Gabriel Church, invited guests, our beloved mentors and mentees, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our event of launching the TRIP mentoring program. I select this title, From Brain Drain to Brain Circulation, Mentoring as a Tool, because I feel that it's perfectly fitting into the Tigray situation, the current Tigray situation. The best and the brightest are not only dying in the war, civilians and combatants alike. They are not only dying due to the man-made famine or diseases, but hundreds, if not thousands of them, are voting on their feet to generate several countries rather, including the UK. We have hundreds of you here in the UK. That's the reason why we are here. The whole population, actually, the population, is struggling for survival. In fact, let alone human beings, animals have got a strong survival instinct. So, we will not only survive, but we will strive. That's my note. Now let me take you to the aims of the presentation. The aims are twofold. One is to discuss migration, its causes and consequences, and also to mitigate the flow of them with some possible solutions. If we start with the definition of migration, human migration is the movement of people from one place to another with intentions of settling permanently or temporarily at a new location. When people cross the nearest border of their country of origin, they are called refugees. They are now refugees because we have crossed the border. When people migrate within the border of their country, they are called IDPs. So we have over around 70,000 refugees crossing into the Sudan, 2.2 million IDPs in Tigray, and hundreds of others moving to other countries. Now, but there is a gray area always in the classification of refugees, asylum seekers, migrants, economic migrants, political migrants, and so on. There are causes, different types of causes of migration, and also consequences. So there is a gray area of definition of the term refugee, and also classification of the migration. Even the timing, we will never know when migration started. We simply say it starts since antiquity or since biblical times. There are two definitions given by two authorities. One is the UN definition of 1951 Convention. As a result of their experience of the Second World War, they defined refugee as the following. I may not be able to read that because I have got a summary for that. The OAU also, as a result of colonization, they gave it a different dimension of refugees. That also will be discussed later on. So, according to the UN Convention, a refugee flies to another country because of fear of persecution due to race, religion, nationality, membership of a social or political opinion. That's the definition. They flee their country because of fear of all this. According to the OAU of 1969, refugees flee owing to the external aggression, occupation, foreign domination of even seriously disturbing public order. So there is a dimension of aggression according to the African context, because they have been colonized by Europeans. As a result, many refugees have been produced in the 1960s. So this is the 1969 definition. Now, the causes. There are two causes for flight: political and economic. Pull factors and push factors. If we see the push factors, there are political ones: war among two or more countries, like we see now in Ethiopia, Eritrea, and Ethiopia, and so on. Civil war within Ethiopia, among ourselves, and so on. The two definitions which we explained earlier, these are all causes, political causes, or push factors. The economic factor could be natural calamities, drought, flooding. These are also reasons for creation of refugees. Pull factors, it's what attracts them on the other side. For example, in the UK, better human rights, better peace and tranquility, greener pastures, that means better economy, better education and employment opportunities, and so on. All these could attract refugees. But there are individual causes as well. If you see now, for example, according to Mahroun, there are other causes. For example, high officials who are assigned to work abroad defect. Ambassadors, former ambassadors, or ministers who are abroad could defect when there is a change of government. High caliber engineers and technicians migrate to a better country that pay more. University professors, scientists migrate to countries that offer high pay, value, and status for their profession. Investors migrate to avoid high taxation and arduous credit and visa processes. Students who study abroad defect when there is a change of government in their country. High professionals migrate to a country that allows and facilitates health professionals. Health professionals migrate to a country that allows and facilitates upgrading of their. These are also causes. That's why I say there is a gray area. It's not only political, it's not only economic. These are also reasons. Now, the number of refugees. We never know exactly the number of the refugees across the world. We never. It's only a guesswork. For the following reasons. Because people leave their countries of origin legally and illegally. People also move from place to place after they reach their destination. Recipient countries deliberately inflate the number of refugees. Sending countries deliberately also minimize the number of countries for their own reasons. So we never know the number of refugees at all. Okay. So 75 to 80% of refugees cross the nearest border. For example, in the case of Tigray, Sudan. In the case of, for example, Turkey, Syrians cross Turkey. Turkey is the highest recipient, 2.6 million. Others, like Pakistan from Afghanistan, Lebanon from Palestine, and from others, Yemen. So these are the places who have got the majority. The majority, 50 to 20% come here. So it's not a flooding here, it's a trip. Negative consequences on the migrants themselves, psychological and mental crisis, ordeal during trekking, language barrier, financial, all this, you know it. I don't want to enumerate everything. For the country of origin, approaching the youth, most productive people come here. The sick and the old remain. That's a tragedy. The country will say. Family breakdown, the most unproductive and dependent section of society increases. Economic reasons, political crisis, and disintegration of the country as a whole. The country of asylum also have negative consequences. Political and social pressure, as people more and more. There is a lot of pressure in that. Security crisis and increased crime rates. Overcrowded schools, health centers, and transport services, hate crime, unrest, extreme racism. That's the result of too many refugees coming here. Now, solutions. The solutions, there are 4 academic solutions. One is stopping the flow of refugees in the first place, create peace, stability, economic growth in the country of origin. You know? But who is willing to do it? So it looks as if we have chosen here to come, you know? People, both the West and the East and everyone, should be able to create peace in the country. They don't okay. So that's the solution. The next solution is integration, what we do here. Once they have arrived here, they can be fully integrated in the complete sense of the term. Integration means having to participate in the social and economic fabric of that society without, I will underline here, without compromising your identity, your culture, your tradition, because that is also a plus to the whole society. In London, we have 300 languages spoken. Community language. That is richness. Cultural diversity, economic prosperity comes from refugees as well. So, that's the integration. If you don't integrate, either you isolate yourself, marginalize yourself, or you assimilate into the other side. There are so many Tigrayans whom we never have seen. Because they have assimilated elsewhere, we don't know where they are. That's assimilation. The third solution, third one, is this is integration. Okay, the integration process, let me discuss a little bit about it. Just nearly. Many refugees go to the refugee camps, to the refugee communities. Many of them. That's the easiest thing to do. To the Tigray community, to go there. Some of them get training, language, or anything. Training could be less easier than employment. Employment is the hardest thing to do. So we are trying to bridge that gap. They are paying bills, they serve the community, they help themselves, their own family, and so that's the win-win. So that's the advantage. The other advantage, as China and India have tried or have successfully achieved, is sending their people to migrate, allowing them to migrate, study in the prestigious universities, working in prestigious industries, gain that skill, take home. In fact, nowadays, Indians and Chinese sell back the technology with added value to the West. Imagine how China and India have benefited from migration. So it's not altogether a negative issue. Migration is very important. If you use it, if we can manage it. That's all. So what we do here is doing mentoring, apprenticeship for young people, and internship. If they are highly qualified people with more experience, we requalify them. We ask them to requalify. So that's it. Now let me finish by a proverb from Tigray. It says, "Havenni tere yigabr." You know that? Havenni tere yigabr means too much dependency turns you into an ape. That's what it is. So, in this 21st century, we do not want to see our compatriots looking for handouts, and therefore we need to support them to stand on their own 2 feet. Unless we mitigate the crisis of migration in unison, both the West, East, and everybody, by turning them into everyone's benefit, the consequences are colossal. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hailu. That was very informative. Next up is Professor Madan Desta, who is founder and director of the Global Knowledge Exchange Network. I don't see him. Oh, there you are. And he'll be discussing PDP and PCD essentials, which he will elaborate on when he starts presenting.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Dr. Hailu beautifully said the same, so my job is actually quite straightforward. But my understanding of the word and the word immigration or refugee is slightly different. If you really think about it, each and every of us are actually refugees and immigrants. Look at simply the UK establishment. Look at the Prime Minister. What is his origin? He's from Turkish. Look at the Home Secretary. Where is she from? Look at the Finance Secretary. Look at the Mayor of London. So being an immigrant or a refugee is not a burden to any society. But it's all down to what do those people do wherever actually they arrive. That will come down to. Therefore, I try to give slightly different twist to what the Dr. Hailu beautifully has said. So I will be focusing on personal development plan. Each and every of us actually have God-given talent, or Allah-given talent, depending on our belief system. But it will come down to how much do we really know ourselves. That's what actually will come down to ultimately. Therefore, my focus is going to be about PDP and emotional intelligence. Okay. Therefore, first thing first, how do we regard ourselves? In other words, how much do we value ourselves as human beings? Look at the first question. What is something you want to accomplish in your life? As simple as a straightforward question. What is that we want to accomplish? We have the God-given talent, imagination, thinking everything possible. But the issue is, what do we really want to do? How do we see ourselves within that? And again, how would I have to think about myself? The majority problem and the limitation exist within us. To what extent do we open up? To what extent do we really control our surroundings? These are actually very, very important issues. And equally, what feelings do you have about your life, my life, each and every of us? What is our feeling? So it is paramount always to have actually kind of self-regard. Again, how will I have to act differently? Yeah, we may have, all of us have traveled. Life is actually a journey. We have traveled. I'm sure all of us are 20 and above, except this beautiful young lady over here. I'm just making an assumption. But that's a life journey. And each and everything actually teaches us something. None of us could possibly actually overlook. We must know. Therefore, how will I act differently? Once I know myself, and equally, what has kept me from thinking? What are the limitations I have come across in life journey? Life is a beautiful journey, as long as actually we remain positive. Therefore, it starts within us. Therefore, simple issues. Yeah, I put something just jumping about. I'm that kind of person. I like life. So is everybody. But the issue is, how do we identify our own existing skills and qualifications? Everyone has the skill and qualification. It's all down to digging and actually bringing it out. So, quick. And then, within that, we should be able actually to identify, let me go back to that. Then we should be able to identify our own strengths and weaknesses. As a human being, I have a strength. As a human, I also have a weakness too. So on the strengths we have to capitalize on it. And then if we have the weakness, then of course we need to find a remedy for it. We don't need to be arrogant, but we don't need to hide actually our talent, our skills. It needs to come out. If we don't value ourselves, who is going to value us? Think of a relationship, husband and wife, boyfriend and girlfriend. If you don't value, do you think the other person will value you? No way. Therefore, it starts actually from positive thinking, but it exists within us. That should be the starting point. Then we move on. And of course, it's always easy to say, be positive, be happy, identify your strengths and weaknesses. And for those of you who are familiar to the business concept, always conduct a SWOT analysis. Some terminologies we hear quite often. But at the same time, one has to be very, very practical. So we need to be able to identify our long-term aim. What do we want to do? We are not going to remain the same. Believe me, 20 or 30 years ago, I never had as much gray hair. And honestly, I have a bald head here, but I wasn't bald, honestly. So I thought, he's actually laughing at me. He knows. Yeah? Now, I'm that kind of person, just trying to cheer you up. But it is very, very important actually to have actually our long-term of our aims. What do we want to do? It's a simple question, but it does require actually deep thinking. And equally, how do I identify what is required? The skills and the qualifications. Dr. Hailu beautifully said about the need to blend in. But blending in means, obviously, we need to be able to identify, as I said earlier, what we are good at, equally finding ways actually applying it accordingly. Therefore, when we said that the time that should be easy to talk, but as long as we remain open and honest to ourselves, I don't think that will be a very daunting task. But at the same time, why do we need to embark into PDP? Simple. For individuals, it's all about actually identifying very focused. But PDP is also required from the employer's perspective. You have to upskill. Personally, I'm unfolding my ignorance as I learn a bit more. What I know is so small as opposed to what's existing out there. That's the case for everybody. It's all down to opening up actually our eyes. Honestly, that are what ultimately that will come down to. So, for the benefit of time, I'm going to go quick. Otherwise, this young lady is going to kill me. But at the same time, these are the terminologies which we are hearing quite often nowadays. Emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence, or EI, is becoming quite common within the academic circle. The idea is simple, but it does fall into 4 categories. First is similar to what we have said earlier about PDP, self-awareness. To what extent do we really know ourselves? From what I know and the communication I've had and everything, this young lady, she seems to be fully self-aware. I just want to use as an example. But at the same time though, to what extent do we really manage ourselves? Self-awareness is brilliant. Yeah, I'm good, I'm sociable, I like to drink, I drink as much as I can. Wow, okay, that is fine, that's a self-awareness. But what is it? How do we really manage ourselves? how do we use the knowledge and the things we have accumulated over a long time, how do we really manage it? And then, to what extent are we aware of our surrounding? We don't exist in a vacuum. We exist in collaboration with whoever is actually around us. Therefore, it is paramount to identify and be aware of what really is happening around us. And at the same time, we need to establish actually a relationship. A relationship is important. Regardless of actually wherever we go, we always have to be aware of and establish that connection. About 30, 40, 50 people are here. How many of us actually know each other? How many of us actually do we smile one against another? That's how you start a full relationship. By smiling, we are inviting other people actually to come close to us. But if I become miserable and you think, do you think people will come and talk to me? But if I smile, hello, yeah, just simple smile. I know I'm simplifying it, but in reality, that travels actually long distance. But when we say self-awareness, I'm sure the term is quite self-explanatory. It's all about understanding our modes, our thinking, our feelings. These are very important. And to what extent really some of us become aggressive under certain circumstances. Some of us become uncontrollable. Some of us drink, go into drunk, whatever that may be. But do we really know what we are doing? And at the same time, how do we assess our own capacities, our own strengths and weaknesses? How do we apply that capacity, the knowledge we have, the expertise we have acquired, the one we need to capitalize on? How do we convert that into something healthy, something beneficial to everybody? This is actually a very important issue. But I have used as simple words as possible to explain the situation. But as part of self-awareness, it's about self-confidence. Believe me, no one is better than me. No one is better than you. No one is better than anyone else. It is up to us. We need to reflect. We need to be happy. Welcome, Olu. Look at that man. Doesn't he look great? Yeah, look at his traditional clothes. Yeah? I'm just trying to illustrate a point. We need to be confident. Regardless of what other people say, it doesn't really matter. As long as we remain considerate towards other people. Self-confidence is important. Okay, very good. Okay? But then we need to have kind of very realistic self-assessment. There is no point in dwelling on something which we may not be able to achieve. Therefore, let us be very, realistic, and at the same time, have some kind of self-depreciating humor. I do quite a lot about me. I do like to joke about my wife. She's very tall. I make so many, and I don't want to go too much about myself, but have that kind of tendency. As long as we know no one is better than each and every of us, believe me, we could actually achieve quite a lot. Again, just look at this simple message. Self-awareness doesn't stop you from making mistakes. It allows you to learn from them. When we know, then we know how to act and how to react in our life. But self-regulation, I need to go quickly, sorry Hannah, we need to be able actually to control and redirect these impulsive and disruptive things. We need to be able to get rid of them. Some of us say, I hit someone because I was upset. I got drunk yesterday because that's not justifiable. For a mature person, we need to be able to calm down. That's very paramount for every of us. And of course, we need to have kind of a judgment. By just looking at someone, we embark into judging that person. But without even creating the opportunity to know that person. Therefore, we have to be able actually to avoid judgment without really knowing. Unless you get closer, have a chat, have a deep understanding, our judgment is bound. Thank you, Anna.
Thank you, Professor Murray. I think there's a lot to reflect on, and these slides will be shared with everyone. So I would like to also introduce Ms. Kama Petruzenko. Apologies if I mispronounced your name. She's from the British Refugee Council, and she'll be speaking about the UK immigration process.
Hi everyone, thank you so much for inviting me today. Huge thanks to Dr. Hailu for organizing this event. We have such a vibrant and beautiful community, and it is a true pleasure to be with you here today. I have quite a task ahead of me because I'm asked to talk about the UK immigration asylum system in just 15 minutes. I will do my best to cover the main points. So what I'm going to talk about today, a little bit about Refugee Council, just who we are. Maybe some of you heard about us already. And my main focus will be on points 2 and 3, so the UK asylum system and key issues in your asylum claim. If you have a pending asylum claim, or you are going to claim asylum, or you are assisting someone who has claimed or is going to claim asylum in the UK, there are some issues that are worth for you to consider. I might touch on the Nationality and Borders Act now because it became law this week, if I have the time, and then we'll have a little bit of time for questions and answers. So our mission is to ensure that as an organisation, the Refugee Council wants to make sure that refugees are welcome to live safe and fulfilling life, contributing to the UK, and we've heard already fantastic presentations from previous speakers about how important it is to build yourself up, invest in yourself, but also how important are those communities and projects which help refugees to gain skills to be able to integrate. We have been around as an organisation since 1951, and we've been established in response to the UN Refugee Convention. Refugee Council mainly delivers services. We work directly with people seeking asylum, with refugees, both in-country refugees as well as those who are resettled to the UK. And we also work with separated children, so children who arrive to the UK without parents or legal guardians. I specifically work on policy advocacy, I support work with Parliament and with the media, and this work really stems from our direct service delivery experience. And last year we've supported around 50,000 people. So in terms of the UK asylum system, as you maybe know, if you have the experience of claiming asylum in the UK yourself, or you are interested in this issue, the system is very tough. Only 41% of initial asylum claims are decided positively by the Home Office, which means that people then get to be confirmed refugees, get humanitarian protection or discretionary leave. A word about the Home Office, which may be interesting, because we are saying Home Office, but what actually is the Home Office? Home Office is a government department, and at the top of the Home Office is the Home Secretary, who is appointed by the Prime Minister. So this is a political appointment, and usually Home Secretary sits in House of Parliament, in House of Commons. However, people working at the Home Office are called civil servants. As you imagine, it would not be possible for the Home Secretary, for her ministers, to be doing all the work of the department of the Home Office. So there are civil servants who are not appointed politically. People apply for this job, and they are ensuring that the department, like the Home Office, can run. And they are making decisions on behalf of the Home Secretary, as well as they are advising the ministers on operational and political decisions they are making. So this is how the Home Office works. And now, what I said before, that the system is tough, only in 41% of cases at the initial stage people get protection in the UK. But in the majority of cases, people can then apply to challenge the Home Office decision through usually appeals process. So applying to an independent court and asking the judge to look whether the Home Office made the correct decision when they've decided to refuse someone's asylum claim. And what is really interesting, that actually 49% of cases brought in courts in the UK last year resulted in the judge overturning the initial decision of the Home Office to refuse someone asylum claim in the UK. So you hopefully have, and huge thanks to ladies who distributed those little leaflets with the asylum process, which you have in front of you. I will try to speak very briefly about the process. I also have the next slide here, which I'm not going to go through, but the presentation will be circulated so you can look into it in more detail. It's just to really show you how complex a process it can be, and I will try to simplify it and narrow down to the main stages of the asylum process. So when someone claims asylum in the UK, they have to be physically present in the UK to be able to do it. Once an expression is made that someone wants to claim asylum, they will have something called screening interview. This is where the Home Office is taking basic information about a person. So name, date of birth, nationality, how they traveled to the UK, and why they are claiming asylum in a really brief generic sense, just to get an idea of what the basis of someone's claims are. Following that, a person will wait for a letter, will receive a letter from the Home Office containing preliminary information questionnaire called PIQ, which has a little bit more detail, like with a list of questions about someone's asylum claim. And the idea is that a person will provide information and evidence ahead of the next stage in their asylum process, which is substantive interview, which is where we call it a big interview. This is where Home Office is really going into asking people detailed questions about why they are claiming asylum, comparing the information which they've provided already. It can take several hours. And then once the Home Office has all this information from someone who claims asylum in the UK, they will make a decision. And you can see in green, the outcome of the decision will be either a grant of protection in the UK or it will be a refusal. And as I've mentioned, in majority of cases, a refusal of asylum claim attracts a right of appeal to an independent court. So this is the simplified process. What can also happen at the point when you have your screening interview, you can see an arrow going up. The claim may be deemed to be inadmissible, which means that the Home Office will decide we are not going to consider your claim in the UK, and then the way to challenge this decision would be through judicial review. Once an asylum claim is refused by the Home Office and a judge, it may happen that people have grounds to present additional evidence and information to the Home Office and ask them to look again into their asylum claim. So it could happen for various reasons. For example, there was some information which initially wasn't available to a person when they claimed asylum. Perhaps situation in their home country deteriorated even further, which means that it's even more unsafe for them to go back. Or maybe there are, additional developments in their personal life. And what they can do, as you can see here, and I'm sorry if it's not very visible on the screen, they can make a further submissions to the Home Office. Collect this evidence, collect this information, and ask the Home Office to look into their case again, even if it was refused by them already and by the courts. And if the Home Office will accept such a claim, then they will look into a person's claim as fresh claim. So it means they are looking again into their asylum claim anew. And then again, the possible two options is a grant or a refusal of asylum claim. And if it's a refusal, there is a right of appeal. Obviously, every time someone makes additional new further submissions, the kind of the bar and the threshold to be successful is getting harder and harder. Unfortunately, throughout the asylum process, people are at risk of being detained. So you see the low grey box there. So some key issues for you to be aware of if you are either claiming asylum in the UK or you are assisting someone, advising them, just a word of caution, you have to be regulated to give immigration advice. So getting good legal advice is absolutely crucial and doing it without delay. So as soon as you know that you are going to claim asylum or as you've claimed asylum, making sure that you have good legal advisor giving you advice about your claim and about the process, which as you've already seen is very complex. You have to remember that asylum advice is free under legal aid. So if you have a lawyer who is asking you to pay money for advice, you should run for the hills because that's not someone worth your trust. people claiming asylum have access to interpreters, and again, that's very important that they understand what is the questions and the situation that they are in, and they can also express themselves in the language they understand. I also encourage people to ask for support, so making sure that they have access to asylum support, medical support, or mental health support, especially when many of the people claiming asylum in the UK experience trauma because of really awful human rights violations. What might be really helpful and something within anyone's ability is to keep documents and information organized about the reasons why they're claiming asylum, writing down experience so you don't feel like you have to tell everything in one moment, but maybe you have a notebook. Things might be coming to you at different points during the day, during the week. If you don't remember something or don't understand the question, don't be afraid to say so, because it's better to say I don't know than to start making things up. If then it comes to light that you were not really truthful in what you were saying, it will be a negative credibility finding and you might be in serious troubles. And really remember that you have rights. You can make complaints if someone isn't treating you with dignity, with respect, providing you the information you should be getting. And you can make complaints against the Home Office, services, lawyers. Sometimes people don't want to be making complaints because they think if I complain, then they will refuse my asylum claim. The two are not connected, and it's really important that when people are mistreated, that they seek justice and that people are held accountable. One last thing to say, and I know that my time is running out, is it is your responsibility to tell your story, however painful and difficult it might be. I've mentioned one of the things that my fourth bullet point is asking for support, especially around mental health. If you experience something particularly difficult, the way our brain works, we just want to push it away, we want to forget. But what the asylum process is asking you to do is to actually tell it to someone whom you maybe never met before. And that's really difficult, but with the right support from your solicitor, from your advisor, from mental health services, from charities, it will be easier for you to do it. And that's really important that you build trust with those people who are trying to help you. And lastly, I want to say that we really want to welcome you in the UK, despite the political climate we are all facing and the headlines we are seeing. So I will not have the time to cover the Nationality and Borders Act. I'm happy to take questions if there are any and talk about this. There will be information on the slides. And I just want to end with a few links to really amazing resources that you can tap into to help yourself in the process of claiming asylum and get relevant information, especially Asylum Toolkit, which explains the process in a useful way. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. This is really useful and important information. These slides will be shared with you. Please take time to read and follow the links as suggested. Thank you for that. This lady to speak quite quickly if possible. So let me welcome Miss Janet Murungai, Chair of the African Community Network, to speak regarding matters of health.
Thank you so much, everybody. So, Community African Network is a consortium of 10 organizations, and WIT is one of the organizations we support here at ACME. We work together to address issues of health. And the three main projects we are doing now, which I'm going to list, is bowel cancer, cervical cancer, sexual health, and also we do vaccines as well. So, but I'm going to talk very quickly about the cancer projects. Please, if you get a letter from NHS talking about coming to do a cervical cancer, the ladies, please take the chance to do the test because it takes lives. Also for bowel cancer,
Louder.
you can hear me.
Louder.
So if you get a letter inviting you to take a test for any cancer, especially bowel cancer and cervical cancer, please take it. Because our communities, the Black communities, are dying of these illnesses, and you shouldn't be dying of them. Bowel cancer is easily cured. So is cervical cancer. But the thing is that most of our communities are not taking the chance. They get the letter and they throw it in the bin. They get the test kit and they throw it in the bin. Please do take this opportunity. There is research which shows that if cancer is caught very early, it can be treated. So we are looking for volunteers. These projects, we work in the GP surgeries to chase up people who have not had their tests. Please, if you are interested in taking an opportunity to work as a volunteer, let doctor know and then you let us know so that we can initiate you. You sit in the GP surgery and you call up people who actually are not taking the test. And if they have any support issues, you still let them know that, we can give you support. I'm not going to waste a lot of your time because I know that we are time bad. Yeah, so my names are Janet. If you need any other, we do work around FGM as well. We do work around domestic abuse. We do all sorts of health issues. If you need more information, a doctor can give you my number and you can support all of you. And thank you so much for coming. This was a very good event.
Ali and I coordinate Hackney Refugee and Migrant Forum. Just a little bit of history, I've got to shout. Hackney Refugee and Migrant Forum. Today we've heard a lot about how individuals are supported through the asylum process. So what we do, Ali and I, we support organisations. So we support organisations that work with refugees and or asylum seekers and or just anybody fleeing anywhere in the world that's not very well. That's how I call war. We were founded in the year 2000. We've been running for 22 years, and Ali is our founder member. So he's really important to our project. And Ali's an honorary member, so he'll always be a member even when he's not a member. So yeah, we support organisations, especially at the moment we've helped a lot of organisations recover from COVID. We have support and we have kind of influenced the way that people receive free healthcare if you're non-documented. You can have vaccines, free healthcare. One of the campaigns we fight for is that. We work with all organisations, all people, as long as they're in the city in Hackney, but we don't really care about that either. Don't film me, will you? Our funders will be like, we're working with everyone. Our current workload at the moment really is about addressing health inequalities and how we build capacity of organisations. So how we build capacity is we work with around areas of fundraising. We give a platform for organisations, much like Week's mentor support. They are coming to our next meeting, so they'll be presenting what work they're doing. So we give platforms to people. We fundraise with people and for people. We've just had a really good fundraising positive yesterday. One of our organisations got lottery funding to work on the issue of gambling. The last 6 months we have supported nearly £1 million of funding to be submitted, and that's with little organisations, not big people, small organisations that are barely running. Another thing that we have done is that we are going to try and influence, at least make some representation around borders and nationalities bill. One of the things that we're going to be doing is writing a letter, sending it to all of our members to support. We've been on protests and we're going to do what we can in that area to try and make that situation better. Our next meeting is on the 18th of May, and we're going to be looking at poverty and how that affects individuals, organisations. What can we do to make it better, particularly as we recover from COVID. And that's about all I really want to say, actually. That's me.
Maybe they might ask questions.
Questions, I'm happy to take any questions at all.
Possibly later on when we finish all presentations.
Any questions? Okay, Halu has our details. We're open to everybody. We have a drop-in on a Monday. Get my information from Halu and come and see us.
Some of our mentors and mentees. And we're going to start with Lily Hagos. Her mentee is Hiwot.
Hello everyone, and my name is Lily Hagos, and this is a lovely Hiwot that she's my mentee. And thank you for inviting us for today's event. Most of all, thank you, Dr. Hai, for introducing me myself to this program. It's an amazing program. And I lived in UK for just over 20 years. And I'm just looking back when I came to this country, how lost I was. Didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. Didn't know exactly what path to take. And I came in August, summertime, and September I was joining a college. And I've been given a list of course lists that I've never heard of them at all. And I had to call back home to ask my dad, what course can I do? Because there was no one to guide me, there was no one to mentor me. And I would like to say the newcomers, you are so lucky to have a program that's going to show you, to guide you, to show you a path of life in UK. And I met Hiwot over the phone, and my expectation of Hiwot was Lily in 1995. But I was so surprised, her confidence, her vision, what she wanted to do in life, and her experience. Coming from the traumatizing life in Tigray, and to see her positive energy, and to see her knowing exactly what she wants to do in the UK. And I say to her, she'll swap, so she can be my mentor and I can be her mentee. Because she's an amazing girl, and I'm so lucky to meet her, and we will be together for a long time. And thank you everyone, and wish you all the best with the newcomers. And stay strong, just make sure you follow the right path in life so you don't get lost. But we're here to support you as Tigray community. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Hello everyone, good afternoon. My name is Hiwot Mabratu, and thank you Dr. Hailu for this opportunity. We're so lucky, as Lily says, we're so lucky. I feel lucky for this opportunity because we have someone to talk to, whatever thing we want, whether we want to pursue in our education or that we want to do something else, there's someone to talk to, which is very, very good. I've been here for 6 months now. And thank you for the introduction. It's from where I come from. I was living in Addis Ababa. I came here for my master's program in IT, but with what's happening, I can go back home. So I just that's what you call it. I'm an asylum seeker now, and currently I'm working as in British Red Cross as voluntary. I started 2 weeks ago, but there have been courses and stuff going on, and I'm doing some other courses as well. And there are other opportunities. When you meet people like Dr. Hailu, it will open a new door for you, you know. We joined, like in UCL, I'm attending a summer course for 3 weeks, for 3 months. It's for higher education preparation program. There are some people who are involving with me, this gentleman and the lady over there, and some other people as well. And this kind of opportunity is less, it just opens a new door for you. As long as we use it, I think we have much more opportunity if we use it. So thanks again everyone. I think it's enough for me.
Thank you for that. Next up, Sophie and Samhan.
Hello, my name is Sophia Anand and I'm the mentor. basically when I get involved with mentoring, it was through Professor Amar. And after a few times in there thinking about to join or not, it's just because I was through difficult times as well as Tigray genocide did affect us a lot. So I'm convinced that I am going to mentor someone, okay, that I ask specifically, this and that. So Dr. Hailu basically allocate or matched me with someone. And it was really good match, and I'm glad that I get involved in the project. It was really good, and I'm sure somehow probably appreciate what we achieved. So she has a few questions in terms of some help, like nutrition, accommodation, and study. We managed to achieve especially the study conditions resolved. And Samhar is very active person, to be honest. She doesn't even need probably a mentor, but in a way she's new. She just arrived last year, so she needed to fit into the society, into the community here. Some of the system that she needed help as well. So we achieved that. Now she's joining the preparation for higher education. I am glad she started last week. Yes. Okay. So she started that, and she's very happy. And I am as well very happy that I saw someone is, almost life-changing kind of journey she started. So this is my experience. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Samhal. Actually, I'm not good at talking in front of people.
Don't worry, we're not there.
But I would like to say thank you for Dr. Hailu for this opportunity and for my mentor for Sophie. And I'm happy to be with her. She's helping me in every situation. And I would like to say thank you again.
This opportunity just to say something. So we, Tagara, we have been through a lot since November 2020. So we need each other more than ever. So we have to have a good and strong community. So those of you who can or who have the exposure to set up such practical project, you have to. This is the time that for us is a survival issue. It's not a luxury thing, this kind of project. So thank you, Dr.
So last but not least, Romha and Lisa.
Hi, I'm Romha, I'm the mentor. I've been paired with Lisanne, so we've been speaking, I think, for the past few months. We'll meet weekly, sometimes we'll have a few gaps, but mainly we just chat and try and help you with things that you might find useful. But my experience as a mentor has been amazing, really. It's been great to be paired with Lisanne, who we're the same age and we're able to relate in many ways and help each other. So that would be my experience in a nutshell.
Hello everyone, I'm Lisanne. I'm a mentee of Romha. She's my mentor, she's really nice. She's like, for me, she's a new friend. She's a little friend actually. She's not only my mentor, she advises me in anything like a friend. We discuss in everything, in every issues. And I would like to thank you all. Dr. Hailu, I would like to thank you because I'm a member of this group. I'm so grateful. Thank you.
Sarmin Aksoy, who's from Turkey, but she has a lot of experience working with the Ethiopian community broadly.
Hello everybody, I met some of you actually today. I am Samin Aksoy. I work with Ethiopian and Eritrean communities since 2005. And then I was teaching ESOL young people like you and the community members and the women in the past actually. I have got 2 posts, and in one of my first posts, I'm working with the refugee women at the Refugee Women Association, and we are running some free courses. One of them is Healthy Eating Project. It is run by a dietitian, professional dietitian lady. This is for the women who has got health problems like diabetes, heart disease, overweight problem, or anything else. It is run by give me a second, I need to tell you the date and time. It is Monday morning, one group, Monday afternoon, another group.
I'm really grateful and happy. I'm really happy, and we have witnessed how members are welcome. So next time, everyone, when you come to Manchester, you're welcome and you're invited. So, sorry. So before we close this event, I would like to wrap up on behalf of the newcomers, mentees, and my friends who make it here, and those who can make it for different personal reasons. Then I would like to thank all of the mentors and participants for making this event so special. And the special thanks goes to Dr. Hailu. You are so inspiration. So I'm grateful for everything you did for us. Thank you very much. And I'm not sure if Elsa is here with us today. I would like to thank her for bringing us together and make this platform so that we can help each other. I'm not sure if she's with us today. Elsa?
Elsa Richardson. Elsa? Oh, no, she's not here.
I would like to thank all mentors, participants for making this event so special. As we mark to the end of this event on trip, I wish to commend you all having made the time this out of busy schedules to attend this important event. And I'm informed that first round of this project has been going well with mentors and mentees. Besides the participation of our mentors in the consecutive Zoom discussions that have been held since the beginning is a reflection of the commitment and desire to help and give us this positive energy, especially for the Tigray these days. It's been full of stress, sorrow, and anguish, and this program has given us social, emotional, and psychological support. Most importantly, has given us the hope to persist in life. So I'm really grateful for what you have done for us. Thank you so much. As a result of your concerted efforts, some of us we are engaged in different voluntary activities, in charity organizations, and some of us we have already started the course preparation for higher education program, like some of us from disments and newcomers, and some of us we are on progress to join in higher education. So this is also grateful. We are also grateful for this all. And sum up, I would like to express my deepest gratitude. I really hope this integration will be very crucial for us, support each other, and to be continuous, so that newcomers will benefit from it. So therefore, all mentors and participants do accept my congratulations for the hopeful result of your effort. I'm grateful. Thank you so much. Thank you.